Okay, so here we are at rigmodels.com. We are going to select the animated models tab. These are all characters that are rigged that can have motion capture applied to them. The others are just models without rigs. So I want to find my character. I'm choosing Jack Skellington here. And it's not going to let you download it without making an account, so you might as well register an account. I already have an account, so I'm going to log in. So once you're logged in and you have your character selected, this is all of the motion capture. These are different categories, so I am going to find a walk. And here's the one I want. You just double click on it and it'll show you a preview in here. You can zoom and click and drag to move around the 3D space here to preview all of the different motion capture files available. So once you have that selected, and you have to be logged in order for this to work, you hit download and it will download the file to wherever you choose. And it'll even show you a little preview here, which you can also click and drag around. So once you have that, let's jump into Maya. So here we are in Maya. Let's go and find our file that we just downloaded. It's compressed, so you just want to open up what's inside there, and you'll see we have an FBX and two textures. So let's grab the FBX file and drag it right into Maya. And you'll see you have your character in the scene with joints. And these are the joints that drive it. And if your joints are really big, which by default they're usually probably going to be very large, you're going to want to go to Display, Animation, Joint Size. And yours probably look like this, so you want to just bring the joint size down until you can't see it anymore. And to show textures on Jack, you're going to hit this button right here, or hit 6 on the number pad. And we can now play our mocap, and it's applied to our character here. So now we want to render this out. So let's first get rid of this grid here, and that's just by hitting this button. And the next thing we want to get rid of are these joints. And so to do that, we'll just go to Show and turn off Show Joints. So now we have our character walking around the scene, and we can choose our camera angle. Let's show our frame by hitting this button here, the resolution gate. So I'm going to pick my camera angle. I want to show him walking from the side. Great, and the last thing we want to do is change this to a green screen, or whatever color is not on your character, because we're going to key it out. So to do that, you're going to go to Windows, Settings, Preferences, Color Settings. And in the 3D Views tab, change your background to green or some other color. Great, so now we should be ready to render, or just play blast at least. So you're going to right click in the timeline and go to the Play Blast options here. And this is how your settings will look. So you want to change this to image, change this to JPEG or whatever format you'd like. And display size, let's change this to custom, and we want to render out a 1920 by 1080 frame size. Otherwise, it'll be whatever size is this is, which is usually a lot smaller than 1920 by 1080. Let's put this to 1 and this to 4 just to make sure that the Play Blast appears exactly how this appears in the window. And lastly, we want to save this to file, and you can browse to wherever you want to save it to. I'm going to save it to my render v2 folder. And I'll just save it as Jack. Great. So now you just hit Play Blast. And once that is Play Blasted, we can jump into After Effects. So once we're in After Effects, let's bring in our animation. You can just double click in the project panel. And find your render folder. Just import your render. Great, so now let's make a composition out of this by dragging our footage onto the composition button. And so now you can see the render that we just made. It looks really low resolution just because it's set to quarter, so let's set it to full so we see the full resolution. And the first effect you're going to want to apply is the removing of the green screen. So let's go to the Effects and Presets tab. The most common green screen tool is called Keylight. So let's apply Keylight to our composition and use the eyedropper here to select this color green, and it's going to remove all that. And you can tell it's removed if you hit this little transparency grid that shows what's transparent. It's not just black, it's transparent. And we want to mask out this gray area here. We don't want that, so I'll just go to the rectangle tool, and with the layer selected, drag your mask. And so this is just masking out whatever's not in this box that I'm drawing. So now if we play, we will just have Jack walking. So now's a good time to bring in our background. So here's the background that I've chosen. And so now I have Jack walking on the background. And let's do a little bit of After Effects compositing just to bring this to final. If you go into your layer and just expand this drop down and then expand the transform drop down, you can choose the position. Let's go back to our select tool, and you can change the position by dragging here, change the scale by dragging here. You can also just click and drag right there. And I actually want to flip this image, so I'm going to drag it like that, and then I'll make this perfect. So I'd like it to be -100 and 100. And then I'm going to relink those, scale it down a bit. And now we have Jack walking across this little hill. And to render that out, you're going to add this to your render queue by going File, Export, Add to Render Queue, or just hitting Control or Command M. And let's send this to Media Encoder to render. And once we're in Media Encoder, let's choose the H.264 preset, and that's just going to be your standard MP4. Choose your output location. Name your file, and render. And that's it. That's all you got to do. You can click on this right here to see your output location. And that's it. That's all there is to it.